All right, this is Money Matters with Casey Harding and
Michael Hill.
And we are just enjoying our doing this in our conference room, and we are going to be talking about gifting wisely and helping our kids and grandkids,
even if some of them don't deserve it.
Yes, without hurting our financial, retirement plan. Michael, what are some key things that you think are important when it comes to that?
Well, first and foremost, thank you again for watching the podcast, listening to the podcast. I hope these are helpful. This is a big one. We have a lot of clients with grandkids.
Yeah.
Our demographic seems to be 50 and older as far as our clients are concerned, with a lot of retarees that we help. But many retirees just want to help their kids or grandkids, whether it's with college, a first house, or getting started in life. But it's easy to see that cute little 3-year-old. And I just, we have 2 grandbabies now. We have a 13-month-old and a 3.5-month-old or 4-month-old at this point. So it's crazy. You see them and you just want to do everything you can for them. But you got to make sure it's not at your own expense. That's why I like 529 plans. It's a college savings account. You can put in $200 a month. It grows tax free.
Yeah.
You can put in as little as $50 a month. It grows tax free. But the main thing I want to get across is Dave Ramsey talks about this. Mm-hmm. Is you want to help your kids out as much as you can. But again, you also don't want to make them where they feel entitled. Where kids, you need to mess up. You need to touch that hot stove.
There needs to be a little struggle.
You need to know that if you touch that hot stove, that it may burn you. Just my daughter the other day was like, Dad, man, she's 22, has her own apartment. Man, bills are getting tough. I mean, the electric bill, and I knew where she was going. I was like, well, that stinks. Talk to you later. I mean, but at the same time, I'm like, honey, I ate ramen noodles and tuna fish for the first, year I was out of college, much less when I was in college. Right. So it stinks, but the struggle sometimes make you stronger. But what Dave Ramsey says is do not give your kids so much that it takes away from your retirement, because eventually what they're going to do is they are going to have to take care of you because you don't have any money in your retirement to live on. Right. That's basically his thought process.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the one thing I want to say is sit down with somebody and make sure you budget. Another, you wanted to talk about maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to let emotions drive those financial decisions, and that can create risk down the road, so it's. Like you said, you've got to save for your retirement first before you start helping your kids or grandkids. But I mean, it's kind of looking from your brain sometimes and looking at it on paper and the facts of what are we doing here, and am I sacrificing my financial security in order to help my kids today? Mm-hmm. And that's not where we want you to be. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is kind of letting go of those emotional ties to doing it, and seeing it more from a factual basis.
Well, I mean, and I think, the talking point that I want to talk about is review your financial plan before giving. Don't just go to your kids and say, oh, you need help. Here's $10,000. Mm-hmm. See how it fits in your financial plan. Maybe it's something you do over a couple of years. Maybe this is the time of year. We get clients that, hey, Mike, I need $20,000. Well, it's December, and it's coming out of their IRA. Maybe that might put you in a higher tax bracket, or maybe that might make your Social Security taxable. Yeah. So maybe like December 28th, you take out $10,000. And January 2nd, you take out $10,000. You still get $20,000 within the same week, but you split it up over 2 taxes.
Exactly.
That's just one thing. Be sure you can afford it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a financial planner, we know of a couple of good ones right here in Midlothian. But selfish plug, you can put the little thing at the bottom. But no, we deal with this all the time. How to gift, how much you can gift. I believe the gifting limit now is $18,000 per person, so where they don't have to pay taxes on it. $36,000 if it's a couple. So there are things that you could do to stay ahead of it, but definitely the main point is understand your needs, your longevity, and I can't tell you how many times I get people, I've done your financial plan to age 95. Oh, nobody in my family's lived past 85. I'm not going to live that long. Okay, at 86, we supposed to give you a cyanide pill and say, well, you live, here you go? No. So plan for longer,
Yeah.
much longer than you anticipate, and whatever's left over, you do have a spouse, you do have kids. So anyway,
For sure.
You had talked about we do this all the time in our office. We're
Yeah.
very proud of it, the bucket approach.
Yeah,
Can you kind
absolutely.
of talk about the bucket approach?
Yeah, so it's just setting up your accounts to know, kind of how much we're going to need in the short term. Could be, the next 2 to, maybe 7 to 10 years. Maybe that's the short term. You've kind of got your longer term, growth, which would be, 10 years plus. But then you also might have, something that's like, I'm going to set this aside for legacy, and we're going to run that account as hard as we can and get as much as we can, because we're never going to touch it.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that the market's going to do its thing, and that's what we get to leave to grandkids or the charitable charity of our choice, whatever that might be. So that kind of the 3 buckets approach would be something like that.
Yeah, definitely, and it helps you emotionally by not having it all in one bucket, being so much tied to the market. This bucket here is not going to move a whole lot.
Right.
This one moves. It's Goldilocks. This one's too hot.
When we need money or want money, we're taking from the short-term bucket.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely not a new approach, but it's an approach that I think a lot of people have gotten away from.
Yeah, and I think it really helps set our clients up for peace of mind.
Yes.
And that's really what we're trying to accomplish.
I want to know how much I could take out at
Yeah.
any time and it not affect my overall portfolio.
Exactly. So that's
doesn't
why we
mean-
do it.
I mean-
It's more work on us, but that's why we work for our clients.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because I literally just had one the other day, and this wasn't about gifting, but I can't stress this enough. Let's say you're watching this. Let's say you're not a client. Let's say you're somebody that has, I don't know, $1 million in the account.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, my kids need help. He got laid off from work. He owes $75,000. This just literally happened. I won't say the client. He owes $75,000 on their house. Can I give them $75,000 and it not affect my plan? If you're doing that at home and you're guessing and you want to do this, but you can't do it at your own expense. If you want to do this and you're just guessing it won't blow you up,
Yeah.
okay. If you're willing to live the next 25 years of your life on a guess or a hope, I don't live in hope. And I don't live in I hope the market goes up. I hope it doesn't sell off. I hope we live longer. Whatever that, so
Yeah.
what every client that comes in, we do an income plan.
That's right. Yeah.
He came in 8 years ago. I still had his income plan. We updated about every year. I ran a scenario with taking that $75,000 out and what it would do to affect his portfolio. Come to find out, it did not affect it too much.
Yeah.
It left less at the end. It wound up being about a $400,000 offset at the end, because that $75,000 wasn't in there to grow, but he was okay with that. Then it was coming out of his IRA. So we had to do the gifting where we did $36,000 now towards the mortgage, and then $36,000 in January towards the mortgage, and he was okay. It was a gift. Now his son didn't have to pay taxes on it. So not that I'm tax advisor, but again, these are the things that you could do to where you have to take less out of your account, and then you have more that you could pay off. But if you are guessing,
you don't want to guess.
I don't even care if it's $10,000. Don't guess. Have an answer. So anyway,
exactly.
What is a stress test?
Yeah, I mean, the stress test is doing just what you said. Like we, have the software to go, all right, if I pull out, $75,000, like what does that do to the bottom line at, 30 years from now or 2 years from now? Like, how does that affect, my accounts moving forward? And, we're seeing it in various market conditions. We can run that Monte Carlo analysis to go, all right, well, if the market drops 10%, right after you do this, how's that going to affect, versus doing it after the account's gone up 10%, and so you run the various scenarios and go, this is the impact of that decision. So that's the stress test that we're able to do with.
I mean, we haven't had a lot of clients that call us up and say, hey, I want to give $100,000
no,
to our
doesn't
kid.
Happen
I mean,
often.
if you do, if you're adopting, I'm here. No, I'm kidding. But at the end of the day, I have had that question, Michael, what if I want to do more than $18,000? Well, there's two things to think about. Little known fact is if you pay we're both Aggies, we'll just say it. I wish it was only $18,000 to go to school at A&M now. That would, 2 daughters in college, that would be great. But you could pay the institutional directly. be it for education expenses. Let's say it's $25,000. It doesn't count over the $18,000 gifting limit to that institution. They're not going to have to pay taxes on that, or your child's not going to have to pay taxes on because it's over 18. That's a little unknown fact. Then maybe you have a family member that, God forbid, had a heart attack, has cancer. The medical bills are $10, $12, $13, $14,000, $20,000. It's over the $18,000. You can write a check directly to the healthcare facility and it not count towards that $18,000. I can't tell you how many times I've had people, well, man, I really want to help pay off their medical bills, but I don't want them to be taxed on it. Pay it directly to the hospital on their behalf. And oh, by the way, make a settlement with them before you pay it off, and you get the best of both worlds. But those are two little ways around that $18,000 exclusion rule.
Absolutely.
So, trust. What would you use a trust for? We get asked that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, these would be for larger gifts, and maybe segments of your investable assets, especially taxable assets that you want to whether to go to charity, and maybe it's a charitable gift trust, or something like that that you're wanting to do that out of, or have that set up to where those assets that are in the trust are going to be given to a trustee to manage post death, because you have a specific way you want those funds to be utilized. And so
now, and something I didn't mean to change the subject. Something that is interesting that I wanted you to kind of talk about, because I know you have some clients that have younger kids, including yourself. Yeah, we talk about the new 529 plan. 529 plan is where you can put money away for college, and it grows tax free. Right, as long as it's used for college, it can be used for a trade school. But that's nothing new. What happened here recently with 529 plans in regards to Roth IRAs? Yeah, so there now is a provision in the tax code that allows, as long as that 529 plan has been open for 15 years, and any funds that are remaining in the account once the kid's done with college, it can then be converted to a 529 into a Roth IRA for the benefit of that beneficiary. So that's a huge thing. I wish I would have had that for my kids. Yeah, for sure, because that just sets them up for retirement, and having tax-free retirement savings already for them as they go into their career. So that's a big has made 529 plans more of a talking point with our planning for our clients. Well, and here's like, you don't have enough reasons to be with a financial planner. I did have this happen, and I was okay with it. I told him to do this. I had a client, a woman whose son, he was older, and he kept hitting her up for money. And this man was in his 40s. Yeah. And she's like, I just feel like I'm enabling him. I'm entitled. I'm like, well, I didn't want to say it, but you kind of are. He has no reason to go work when he knows he can call mom and get $5,000. So she says, I don't know how to tell him no. Now, God bless her. I hate that for her. I want her to learn on that. So if nothing else, use your financial advisor as the bad guy. So I told her, tell her your financial advisor said you can afford this per your budget. Blame me. If he calls me, I'll tell him that. It makes me the bad guy. I'm okay with that. Quit taking money from your mom. But you do have to learn how to say no, or learn what those limitations are, because I do want everybody to be gift and I want everybody charitable. But I have examples of where I have people that do it too much to their own detriment. So see what you can afford and not afford. Yeah. Basically, I want to get into basically segment number 4 that we have here on the list. Yeah. But, something I definitely want to make sure of is that we've talked about this, your beneficiary designations. Yep. Could you talk a little bit why that's so important on accounts? Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't have, a full beneficiary designations on your accounts, then those funds are going to go to the estate and have to go through probate. And then the judge gets to decide who gets to receive those funds. Plus you may have probate tax. Yeah. There's all kinds of a can of worms that could be opened, by having that happen. So it's really important to make sure that those beneficiaries, stay up to date on all your accounts.
especially contingent beneficiaries. If something, heaven forbid, happened to both of you all at once, you want to make sure that those are also in place. And so, it's highly, highly important to make sure you keep your beneficiaries up to date on all accounts.
And I can't stress this enough, besides life insurance, if you're wanting to, and we've already talked about it once, if you're wanting to give large amounts of money or you want to do it over time, I can't stress researching or meeting with one of us on a donor advised account. It's a way to where you can at least keep some of the interest. It's a way to where you don't have to give the same amount every year, but it's absolutely a very, very good way to give to a charity in multiple years and max out the benefit.
Yeah.
But so I always like to use relatable stories. I will tell you, I have a client right now that is gifting to a church, and they're doing it every year, and they have for a very long time. And so the only thing that stinks is they had to wait till they were 70 and a half so they could start taking it directly out of their IRA into the church. Before 70 and a half, I can't stress that enough. It's still, you have to pay the taxes on it, then you can donate to the church and you get the write-off. So I don't know why they only do it for 70 and a half. RMDs are at 73, so I guess you give a little break there. But I get stories all the time. I think this time of year is a very good time to look at gifting, not just because it's the season of giving, but it's also, you could possibly split it up over 2 tax years. If you're married, I can give one daughter $36,000. Maybe I wanted to give her 72. Well, we give her $36,000, like I said, in late December, and give her the other $36,000 January 2nd. She gets it all in 1 week, but it's split up over. She didn't have to pay any taxes on it. So those are the things to think about. Casey, do you have any stories of somebody gifting or doing life insurance for charity or anything like that?
I don't have any life insurance to charity, but the giving piece of just, like they've a client that wants, to just set their grandkids up, to make sure college is taken care of. So, just that it would go, into an account that's designated for them in their name, and so it just kind of setting that up on the front end, and it just all depends on how you structure the account or the beneficiaries. But
and I've had some thoughts on the life. Like I said, I'm not a life insurance expert, but I know enough to be dangerous.
Sure.
We've done this for some higher net worth individuals. Is maybe you set up a life insurance plan to where you put in $10,000 a month, $10,000 a year for 10 years and let it grow for 20, 25 years. You do this when you're in your 40s, and you have your kids as the beneficiaries on there. So when you and your wife, you could be what they call a second to die policy. You and your wife die, $400,000 goes tax free to the kids. That way, when you're retired, you go nuts. But at age 65, let's say you've been in there 20, 25 years, you could take some of that interest and premium out to live on tax-free while still maintaining somewhat of a death benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a long-term way to give to your kids or charity, and it's tax-free.
For sure.
So it's a very popular method, but the downside of it is you have to put in pretty regularly over years. It isn't just a hit or miss thing. So I didn't want to get too product heavy, but that's something. Everybody thinks life insurance is evil, but when it comes to giving and leaving a legacy, it's the best investment you have, but you have to die to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that could be used for is, because we've got this 10-year rule with, non-spouse inherited IRAs, they can use that to pay the taxes. And,
absolutely. That's a good point.
So.
See, that's why I keep them around. Do you have any closing statements?
Yeah, no, I think it's just that I think the people who are the happiest in retirement are the people who give thoughtfully and not impulsively.
That's a great,
just being intentional about what you're doing.
I think planning your gifting is absolutely the way to go.
Yeah.
It's when you're put on the spot and you have that emotional, I want to do it, and then you're not sure if you could do it, and you can't put that genie back in the bottle. You don't want that feeling. You want that feeling to do something that's systematic and purposeful. So that's what I would say. Get with your advisor, meet with your spouse, have a plan for it. But do it. I absolutely am a big believer in giving. Like I said, this could all be taken away from us at any second. It's all given to us by God. It's going right back to Him one way or another.
Yeah.
So, with that, have a great holiday Thanksgiving season.
Absolutely.
I'm Mike Hill.
Casey Harding.
Thank you for watching Money Matters with Hill Financial Group.